Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another knockout here at the Nationals Junior category, and our motion of dissection today reads: unclaimed financial assets should be converted and distributed to support social welfare programs and empower the less fortunate. I'll read the motion again. Unclaimed financial assets should be converted and distributed to support social welfare programs and empower the less fortunate. Proposing and opposing the motion, we have St. Teresa Mbooni Girls and Meru School. With that said, all the best to both teams on stage, and I'll be your host for today, Hamza Hussein. First speaker, team proposition, you have 3 minutes.
The act of being good Samaritans is slowly dying, and the excuse we give as humans is that we lack enough to help the less fortunate. Do we really lack enough to help the less fortunate when we have the unclaimed financial assets? My name is Cynthia Nekesa from St. Teresa Mbooni Girls, and I'm here do not mind my voice. It's not a normal thing, but I'm not here to showcase my voice, but more to purport on what is right for a better world. And that is to strongly propose on the motion that states unclaimed financial assets should be converted and distributed to support social welfare programs and empower the less fortunate. Unclaimed financial assets. These are funds or property whose owner is not known and have been left dormant for a prolonged period. Convert simply means to change. Social welfare programs designed to help people in times of need, such as the Linda Mama program in Kenya. We have the Medicaid globally. Less fortunate, people who have fewer privileges and advantages than other people. We have the orphans, the widows, and people who are affected by circumstances. SDG number 1, no poverty. It aims in breaking the poverty cycle in our world. And the question that is still triggering our mind is, how do we go about this? Unclaimed financial assets. Unclaimed financial assets represent a significant wealth which can be distributed and funded to can distributed to fund social programs and empower the less fortunate. At this state of the world, we all want to achieve financial stability, and therefore we cannot afford having any dormant wealth. What is the point of having a dormant wealth there, and yet there are people suffering? According to Daily Nation, on 3rd March 2023, Mr. Zachary Ochodo, a media personnel of the Financial Post, clearly said that the issue of unclaimed funds in Kenya, unclaimed funds in commercial banks in Kenya has been there for some time. And it's alleged that about 200 billion Kenya shillings lies unclaimed in the commercial banks. I'm talking about 200 billion lying unclaimed. And yet, last year on November 5th, a survey carried out by the Pew Research Gate discovered that 278,000 street children in Kenya are lying out there. Is this 200 billion that is lying unclaimed in the commercial banks not enough to build children's home, to facilitate their education, and also to eradicate the problem of having street children in Kenya? This money is not just only to help the less fortunate of today, but also the less fortunate of tomorrow. When I ask your question, who are the less fortunate? Let's look at the floods that recently took place in Kenya. Nobody knew that I will lose my property due to the floods. These are the less fortunate. Less fortunate does not mean people who have money, because tomorrow, nobody knows about tomorrow. According to Vatican News, on November 8, 2020, Tracy Palinjan from India used the unclaimed financial assets to start a social finance bank. Not only did the social finance bank help the unemployed of that year, but also it has helped everyone till date. Till date, due to the social finance bank that Tracy started, it has helped in increasing 15% of the country's economy. I'm talking about 15%. If we want to achieve SDG number 10 of reduced inequalities, let us use the unclaimed financial assets in eradicating the class of the less fortunate and make everyone equal, not today, tomorrow. Let's secure a better world for ourselves. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen of jury judges, fellow debaters, and esteemed guests, my name is Jehu Adil from Meru School, here to oppose the motion that states unclaimed financial assets should be converted and distributed to support social welfare programs and support the less fortunate. I'm not saying that they should not be used to support the less fortunate. I am saying that we should search for alternative approaches to distribute unclaimed financial unclaimed financial assets. She said, the first proposer said, that 200 billion goes unclaimed in Kenya. Well, I'm here to rebuttal that, and I'm here to negate that and say, according to UFAA, Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority, an article published on the 23rd of December 2023, it states that we only have 3.7 billion. I'm not getting where she's getting 200 billion from when you only have 3.7 billion. Now, to my first point, we get this according to economic considerations. We have market distortion. Converting unclaimed financial assets into social welfare funds might disrupt financial markets. For instance, liquidating large amounts of assets could depress assets prices, negatively affecting the broader economic and financial stability. Basically, when something is too much in supply, price goes down. We basically depreciate its value. Depreciation leads to inflation, and you all know what inflation does. Take a good example in Zimbabwe. They have too much, they printed large amounts of their money, and right now the economy is, I don't even know how to explain the economy. The economy is broke. Not in a bad way, the economy just crashed. Due to what? Due to inflation. Now, why not take this money, take these unclaimed financial assets, convert them, liquidate them into money, and divert them into reinvestment in infrastructure. Governments should focus on long-term investments. I repeat, long-term investments. Why give money to a group just once and that's it? I believe that a hand up is better than a handout. We cannot just give you fish. We'll teach you how to fish. Teaching you how to fish will make sure that you are independent. Being independent promotes individualism. And as we all know, as Kenyans, most of us Kenyans, we are capitalists. We are not socialists. Being capitalist means that we all, as each and every single one of us, works for what we want. Works for what to better our lives, to raise our living standards. SDG number 4, quality education. SDG number 9, industry innovation. When we redivert these assets into infrastructure, we benefit the less fortunate indirectly. We build roads, we make markets, we bring affordable prices for goods. My name is Jehu Adel from Meru School. Thank you for your time.
Starting in D, E, F. They say that if you want to help a poor man, instead of giving him the net, instead of giving him fish, give him the net and teach him how to fend for himself. From St. Teresa, Mbooni Girls, I am Aquinas Jacqueline. Our first proposer gave out statistics. Well, as we know, human is to error, and at the same time, the internet was also created by man, and an error can also occur in the internet, or so it's either my team, like my proposer is wrong, or our opponents here they did not get their statistics correct. Our opponents have clearly stated that these unclaimed financial assets, okay, I think they are contradicting themselves, because they are saying that he has mentioned something of giving the man a net so that you teach him how to fish and not giving the fish. That is what we are saying. These unclaimed financial assets, the government can use it to set up businesses that will ensure that these less fortunate, they are stable financially, and that is what we want to say. We want to tell you how these unclaimed financial assets can be used to help the less fortunate so that they stabilize themselves. These unclaimed financial assets, they can be used to start up businesses and invest in already existing businesses. Okay, Let's take for instance, if there's let's say for instance, if in our country there are businesses and they are not prospering, if we invest in these businesses using these unclaimed financial assets, you'll find that more job opportunities will be created, and especially for those who are less fortunate. So you'll find that they'll be able to stabilize themselves financially, and when they're financially stable, you find that now we will be benefiting in that their living standards will be improved, and at the same time the government will be benefiting in that they'll be earning revenue from the business itself. These unclaimed financial assets can also be invested in the health sector so that it can help the less fortunate. Let's take for instance those who are less fortunate, who are suffering from terminal diseases like cancer. According to the Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital, as per 19th June 2023, they stated that 36% of those cancer patients who are suffering from cervical cancer and are the less fortunate. Now imagine if we invest these unclaimed financial assets in the health sector and improve in that they don't have to seek medical assistance elsewhere. This will ensure that the people are healthy, and as they say, a healthy nation is a wealthy nation. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to start off by putting you in a scenario. You're the breadwinner in a family, and you have life insurance. Unfortunately, you pass away. You were the breadwinner, so you're giving your family all that it requires. Now that you're dead, your family doesn't have that much, but they weren't aware that you had this life insurance, so they're not going to go to collect it. What's going to happen is that the company in charge of your life insurance is going to forward it to UFAA, Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority. What's going to happen to it then? Are you saying that instead of looking for the owner and returning the money, you're going to take it and put it inside a welfare program? I really don't understand why hurt me to help another person? Why hurt Peter to help John? Is what I'm saying. That brings me to my first point, property rights. These unclaimed financial assets actually do have owners, and it is the job for these companies which are supposed to be in charge of unclaimed financial assets to look for the owners and actually give it to them. Now, if you don't go through the long, exhausting process of looking for the actual owners and actually just take the money and put it inside a welfare organization, that's just legal theft. You took my money without my permission and gave it to a welfare program. Sure, you're doing it for the greater good, but you're hurting me in the process. According to a report done by NAUPA, National Association of Unclaimed Property Administration, back in late June of 2020, they said that unclaimed property or unclaimed assets in the United States alone amounts to about $58 billion US. Now, that's a lot of money. But if you get it in a manner in which you are literally stripping me of my rights to get a hold of this money, I don't think that's promoting SDG number 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions. My second point is administrative challenges. The amount of money that goes into identifying, converting, and distributing these unclaimed financial assets are a lot. Basically, it's a complex and costly process. According to a study conducted by Unclaimed Property Professional Organization back in 2019, stated that administrative costs take up almost 30% of the initial amount. Meaning 30% of your money is going to administration costs only. At that point, just take this money which you're going to use it in administration costs and actually invest in institutions which will actually benefit us long term, thus going perfectly with SDG number 8, decent work and economic growth. And with that, I've been Ian Washira from Meru School. Thank you.
Good day, my esteemed audience. Imagine this box. This box is a treasure trove full of unclaimed financial assets, buried under layers of bureaucratic paperwork. And instead of letting these resources gather dust, let us utilize them and channel them to the various social welfare programs to illuminate lives with support and opportunity. From the prominent St. Teresa Mbooni girls, I am Sophia Kalondo. The first speaker of the opposing team just mentioned about Zimbabwe. You did not give us any statistics, you did not give us proof. So please, stop accusing these individuals for crashing their own economy by helping the less fortunate individuals. The second speaker also mentioned about the process whereby you find the rightful owner will be denied of their own rights. Actually, they have to go through a process. The organizations responsible for these unclaimed financial assets will announce that we have an unclaimed financial asset, therefore you have to come and claim it. And if you don't claim it, then what will happen? It will be liquefied and it will be used to support the less fortunate individuals. Now, I go straight to my points. We have unclaimed financial deposits, which can be an example of the unclaimed financial assets that we have. And I have a very good example of a country which has used this unclaimed financial assets to help the less fortunate. This is the US, where the Silicon Valley Bank did collapse on the year 2023. And according to a research that was done by economists on the 3rd of December, the same year, I'm giving you recent statistics, and you'll find out that this bank did collapse as it faced a run on its deposits. Therefore, it was taken over by the federal regulators, which is the FDIC, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, and they did refund their rightful owners of these deposits. Then how can you claim that the owner will be denied of their own rights? And even after all that, 1.5 million US dollars was declared and claimed. And do you know what they did? They decided to use this money by helping the less fortunate, by providing food assistance. They expanded programs like the meal stamps. Therefore, the less fortunate were assured of nutritious meals. Then that reduced the number of the less fortunate individuals by 0.75%. Do not underestimate this progress, because it just happened last year, right? Now, we'll find out that we should be using these unclaimed financial assets to help the less fortunate individuals. Because if it has been beneficial to a superpower nation, why can't we even use it in our own continent to help them? Therefore, I urge you, my esteemed audience, to join me in using these unclaimed financial assets to help the less fortunate individuals and to bolster the social welfare programs. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you that the most critical issue we face today isn't probably what is in your mind? My name is Calvin Maore from Meru School. Consider this radical perspective. And as apparent as it is, we actually have now 4 opposers because we have this team over here and we have the second speaker. This is because the second opposer said that we could invest in businesses. Exactly. This radical perspective is that we do not have to invest in these social welfare groups. Why in social welfare programs and the less fortunate? After all, doesn't it make it harder to retrace the money, to access the money that each one has to benefit? Apparently, according to Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority, there is approximately 3.7 billion in assets in Kenya. So if each of the 10% of the poorest people in Kenya who happen to be part of the less fortunate had access to this money. This is according to a research done by Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. If each one of them was to have this unclaimed assets in form of money, each one would have roughly 740 shillings. Not enough to start a business, not enough to prosper. On to my first point. It improves our health. We can use it to invest in our healthcare system. According to the World Health Organization, in a 2020 report, many public healthcare facilities in our country, Kenya, are facing stockouts and deficiency of these drugs that they have to give to patients. This is because there are not enough funds to go around and help in the purchasing of these very valuable medical supplies. So if we can take this, asset that has been lying around there for 50 years with no apparent owner who has claimed it, then it can be used to aid this, it can be used to aid our healthcare system. After all, if 40% of healthcare facilities are missing, facing resource constraints, doesn't that make us prone to disease prevalences in our country? On to my next point. We could invest this money in environmental conservation. Ladies and gentlemen, if we sit back and realize how much the climate crisis is getting bad, we would put our minds together and say that there is action to be taken. And this action will be financed using the unclaimed financial assets that have been left there they've been left there for a long time. And obviously, we wouldn't just take these assets that have been unclaimed. There has to be a criteria. If we have an asset that has been lying around for 50 years, we cannot assume that it is anywhere near to being claimed. So what do? We help others for the common good. My name is Calvin Maore, and I rest my case. Thank you.
I want you to think, in Kenya, how many counties are there? Counties are there, 47 counties. So the government should know how many orphans are there in Laikipia. The government will only do this using the social welfare programs. When we say, the motion clearly states, the government empowers the social welfare programs to help the less fortunate. We didn't say the government goes to the less fortunate, give them money. The social welfare programs organizes how the government will help the less fortunate, creating business opportunities. Clearly, what our second speaker proposed, you just repeated what we said. Now, I want you to think of having, right now, we all are here, having the chance to education. There's somebody out there. Even having that chance to have a single meal is not there. And yet the government has unclaimed money lying there. Actually, according to the UFAA, which was started in 2011, 10 million from that year till date, waiting for owners who have never come back. 10 million lying unclaimed, and yet there are people suffering. People suffering, these are our fellow humans. Let's achieve SDG number 10 of reduced inequalities and make everyone equal in the society and love each other. Unity for all. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, fun fact, scratch that. A fact to grieve in. WHO, in a report in 2023, estimates that there are about to be 250,000 additional deaths coming as a result of climate change. Now, if we do not invest in this, in our environmental conservation, using these unclaimed assets that have been left there for using a certain criteria, we are only watching ourselves die. That's a fact to grieve in. So, what we are implying supports SDG number 13, climate action, SDG number 15, life on land, SDG number 17, partnership for goals, SDG number 3, good health and well-being. Then tell me, if you oppose if we do not agree with what we are implying, then which side do you stand on? You will be an enemy of humanity to want to see those 250 million deaths between 2030 and 2050. I rest my case. Thank you.
When you take a look at this motion, I believe a better research could have surfaced to give us more points for mastery of topic. Nevertheless, we all laid very strong argument to support our cases, so I'm going to give the individual comments. Cynthia, you gave us a very clear definition of terms with excellent examples. The only thing that never came out so well is that bit of more global and regional perspectives. I know you mentioned India, but that was, there is much more that you could have brought on board. And for India, you said that Tracy helped the country by growing the economy by 15%. The question is how? I wish you could have gone ahead to expound on that, but you're a very passionate debater. Jehu, you also gave some clear definition of terms, and you began with a very good tempo, but then somewhere I lost you. You spoke about giving alternatives to, instead, looking at the motion, you guys are saying unclaimed financial assets should not be converted and distributed to support social welfare programs and empower the less fortunate. So you began by telling us we have an alternative to what? Looking at this motion, it is an alternative to empowering these social welfare programs and the less fortunate. So from that perspective, we were waiting to see the arguments flow. But again, the whole team caged itself on fighting and attacking unclaimed financial assets, and you completely forgot about this other part of the motion, which is the side you squarely needed to bring out well. So there was a gap somewhere there, and with more research, you could have done more justice. And then when you talk about investing in environmental conservation, when you talk about 40% of healthcare system investment, I'm like, are you not supporting the motion? So, because if you're talking about investment in healthcare systems and we're talking about social welfare programs, it's like you've jumped ship and supported the motion. So again, your interpretation of the motion should be something you should work on. I wish you guys all the best. Thank you.